sure that you're going to have great things to say about both teams in this next game we have to pick because
Oh boy.
it's one of your favorites, Jacksonville Jaguars, hosting Carolina Panthers, and a guy who could be making a claim for best quarterback in the 2023 draft after this year, and Bryce Young. Having my
That's,
prediction bear out that he's a little mini Mahomes. I like what I saw towards the end of last year for
we
him.
can pin that one
Um,
on the bulletin board. I can't wait to throw that in the recycling bin after this year. But go ahead.
We'll see if it makes it the whole season. That take,
Yeah.
but it's going to be a test in week one against a team in the Jacksonville Jaguars. Panthers traveling to Jacksonville for this game. And I think what's really going to define this game is going to be how well Liam Cohen is able to mesh with Trevor Lawrence and how quickly this offense, this brand new offense, is going to get rolling. Because when you have a system like Doug Peterson and Press Taylor's from last season, now you go with a whole new offensive coach, new scheme, throw the book out and start all over. We'll see. Obviously, if there's any, when it comes to potential, there's nobody that gets gassed up quite as much as Trevor Lawrence in terms of a guy who just hasn't fulfilled it. Maybe Caleb will be, contending for that soon as well. But, Trevor Lawrence from the beginning, he's shown you at his best that he can be a great quarterback, and at his worst that he does not deserve the contract that he currently has. So we'll see if he's able to match with Liam Cohen again. I think that's going to be the determining factor in this game, and against a defense that's young and going to be susceptible to if it's any indication from last year, the Panthers defense seriously struggled. But I believe in what they've got on offense. I think that Ted McMillan is going to be a true number one receiver for them. So Xavier Legette's going to take the next step in his career, going to have a lot of targets opened up with Adam Thielen moving out of town and being able to move into that true flanker or slot position, which I think he belongs in. So, there's and Chuba Hubbard was consistent and solid throughout last season. So I think both offenses here are going to have the potential to put up points. So I would look at the over in this game, depending on what the total is. But I think that when it comes down to it, I'll take a team in Jacksonville that's at home that has the quarterback that has more experience. This is contrary to my Bryce Young pick, but I think that there's still going to be some growing pains with this Panthers team just on the defensive side of the ball. So it's not against Bryce, but I think that the Jaguars are going to be able to pull this one out. What are your thoughts, Turtle, as our resident AFC South expert?
And
Yeah,
Adam Thielen's back in the Vikings now. He is.
Yep, that's what I said. Yep.
Yeah.
But anyways, Pat, you mentioned the points being scored. The total right now is at 46.5, which I'm kind of with you. It seems a little bit low for I think two defenses that were really bad last year. Obviously, the Panthers get Derek Brown back. I think that's a big get back. They signed Trevon Moehrig. And if you guys want to, if the listeners want to go and look at our NFC division breakdown, I think we talked extensively about the Panthers being a much better football team this year. So we'll start there. I honestly kind of like the Panthers in this matchup. Look, there's a lot of unknowns on the Jacksonville side, and I think we're starting to reach the point where it's kind of do or die for Trevor Lawrence this year. And I do think that Jacksonville, look, things can't get much worse than it did last year for Jacksonville. I really like Travis Hunter as a football player too. I think he's going to make the Jacksonville Jaguars better. What his ceiling is offensively and or defensively kind of remains to be seen. But I do think he, from a talent standpoint, adds a lot. But look, the Panthers are getting 3.5 points in this game. And the way the Panthers ended last season, we mentioned it on the podcast last year, or a podcast last time. The Panthers ended the season really well last year. The offense started to click. You get another off season in the Dave Canales offense for Bryce Young. It seemed like some lights kind of turned on for Bryce at the end of last year. And look, I don't think Bryce Young is going to be a top 5 quarterback in like the Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Mahomes tier. He's not that type of talent, but I think if he's playing his best and he's in a good system with some weapons around him, which you mentioned earlier, he can be in the Baker Mayfield, 8 to 14 type quarterbacks. And look, on this Panthers team, with I think they got a little bit better on defense. They added Ted McMillan. Um, I think this Panthers team is going to surprise some people. Maybe not, with a 10-win type deal, but I think that this is certainly a winnable game for them. And Jacksonville was putrid on defense last year. Absolutely putrid. They didn't do a whole ton to get better in the offseason other than adding Travis Hunter, who will probably play more receiver than he will corner. So look, I like the Panthers here. Now Jacksonville, I'm with you, Pat. They won't be the worst team in the AFC South, but they will be number 3 for me, which I think will surprise some people. But
I'm with you too, Turtle. I like the Panthers here. I mean, I'm hoping it'll get the public money will come to where they get back up to 3.5. But I mean, they kept all 5 offensive linemen that they had last year, so I mean, at least gives you chemistry, going into this. Robert Hunt being one of those who they gave a fat bag to. I think they get an upgrade to the outside, getting Ted McMillan. They're bringing back Chuba Hubbard, who just got paid, so that ensures he's going to be the face of the franchise. He's going to get the touches that he's going to be entitled to. I mean, I think if Bryce Young can keep showing the flashes that we saw during the back half of the season, it bodes well for what potentially could be a pretty at least high scoring offense. When you look at it defensively, I mean, they brought back Derek Brown. J.C. Horn is still there, Pro Bowl caliber defender. Trayshawn Wharton's there. Patrick Jones is there. Bobby Brown is there. I think it's, at least improvement to, what they're going to be bringing up front to a historically bad defense. And just like Turtle said, I think the jury is still out on Trevor Lawrence, and it is the prove-it year. He's shown flashes where he looks like a really good quarterback, but I mean, he's also in a no excuses season where now you have, Travis Hunter, and it's going to be interesting to see. I'm curious to see how the breakdown, as you said, Turtle, is going to go. Where you think he may be getting those offensive snaps, being the wide receiver 2 next to Brian Thomas Jr. The tandem of Trevor Etienne and Tank Bigsby is going to be interesting to see. Patrick McCary, I think was his name, that they brought in on offense, and Robert Hainsey on the offensive line, I should say. So I think you're going to be making some noise, and I think it'll allow Trevor Lawrence to play a bit more consistently. But no, I got the Panthers in this one. I think they keep it close, and defensively, I think is kind of where they have Trayvon Walker, they got Josh Hines-Allen. I mean, they're solid running mates. They got Devin Lloyd. They have some names there. I think there's still concerns on that side of the ball after what turned out to be pretty questionable pass rush and a secondary as we really went down the stretch there. I do like the over in this game though, and but give me the Panthers, give me the Dave Canales era with a whole new fresh page starting with it, going out and winning this game as 3.5 point underdogs. I like them outright though.
God, I thought I was going to be the Panthers guy this year. Go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Jaguars.
Okay.
I really am excited to see how Liam Cohen implements a run game for Trevor Lawrence this year. I certainly think he has the personnel to do it. I think, Travis Etienne, hopefully he has a bounce back year. Mike, you mentioned Tyson. Tyson's on the Carolina Panthers, so brothers will be playing against each other this weekend. That's pretty interesting. But I'm excited to see how Tank Bigsby and Etienne work out for the Jags this year. I wasn't too excited about their offensive line additions. Adding Hainsey, I think he's a quality backup, but I don't know about him starting. I think he's more of a bridge starter. And then Macari, I think they overpaid him. I also don't know about the Eric Murray signing. Turtle, I think that was pretty confusing to you as well. And Jordan Lewis, I mean, he is a exclusive nickel, but I just think he's kind of average. for the contract he got, 3 years, $30 million. So certainly some question marks with how they spent their money this offseason, but I am excited to see Liam Cohen kind of just get structure back to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it starts with that run game. And if they're able to implement a run game, Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be extremely dangerous in the play action. So I expect a big year from him. And then anything you get from Travis Hunter is going to be massive. And him as a wide receiver too, I think it's big. I think the ceiling for him right now is absolutely Chad Johnson as a wide receiver. So we will definitely see how that goes. Bear with me here. Yeah, one second. Yeah, but ultimately, I'm going to have to say I'm going to take the Jaguars. I think it's a good game. I do think, depending on the injury report, Ike Ekwonu might not be ready to go at left tackle. That's going to be a key matchup to watch if he matches up with Trevon Walker or Josh Hines-Allen. I think the Jags can take advantage of that matchup if he's out of the game.
Yeah, I think this means.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think this
No, go
noon
ahead.
slate leaves. Oh, sorry. I say I think this noon slate leaves a lot to be desired, but this is kind of one of those sneaky games that this is a fun red zone game because I think there's a lot that could happen as far as scoring is concerned. And hopefully they don't cut to commercial when this game's on.
Yeah,
because
hopefully you're
I
not
think
getting hit with a whopper, double
Yeah.
whopper.
Yeah. But between this and
Now-
like Commanders
yeah.
Giants, like I probably one of the more, obviously not like barn burner, like two great teams, but as far as intrigue goes, I think this is a fun game to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's still a lot of questions about how the Panthers are going to be able to bounce back after last season and build on their success towards the end. And then the Jaguars are an open book. And one thing about the Jaguars, when we talk about their defense, it got to a certain point. We saw it with the Bears defense as well last year. When you can have talent along a defensive personnel that just gives up on their head coach. And I think that's what we saw with Doug Peterson as well, that the Jaguars kind of just gave up as a team. So I think we need to give the defense a clean slate. They did bring in I think it was the Packers' former linebackers coach as their defensive coordinator. So he's coming from the Jeff Hafley tree is sprouting its first seed here.
Anthony Campanile. I'm probably butchering how you pronounce that last name, but
so brand new defensive coordinator. That's also something to be considered. But hey, is Italian, and one thing we do know is that if a defensive coordinator is Italian, he's usually pretty good. And I'm just going to go off Spagnuolo for that.
Vic Fangio?
Vic Fangio. What am I saying? Yeah, the two best defensive coordinators. I mean, and I went to Pagano before Fangio, and they're both former Bears defensive coordinators. So I don't even know where my head's at with that comparison. Yeah, but you got to go. Got to go with the Italian defensive coordinator.